Hey guys, welcome back. As it stands right now, as you are watching this video, we are 1 day away from the start of Stage 2, Week 1. And with that, I wanted to bring you guys all the storylines heading into it. Over the last week or so that we've been without Call of Duty, there have been so many things on the timeline. So I want to get it all out there, cover it all, so that you guys are set going into the matches on Thursday. So first of all, if you guys haven't been following, we got this tweet from the Call of Duty League that there are now new maps in the rotation for Stage 2. I'm actually really excited for this. So first one, they added Apocalypse Hardpoint and removed Crossroads. This is a really great change overall. First of all, when it comes to Apocalypse, it's a map. If you haven't seen my video yesterday, go check it out. I talked through all of the spawns, the rotations, what you should be looking for as it goes from one hill to the next. But when it comes to that map, it is really balanced. Whether you're on P2 side or P5 side, the map just makes sense. And that's not something that you could say for Crossroads, right? It seems like that map was so small. Spawns were always all over the place. They didn't necessarily make sense throughout. So I really like that change. And of course, Garrison SND is out and Express SND is in. When it comes to Garrison SND, the bomb site on the top side of the map over by Top Green, you couldn't even make it through that choke point. So there was really only one bomb site that you could hit. The map just did not flow. And I'm glad that they removed it. And anytime you can take a map from Black Ops 2 specifically in Destroy and include it in Black Ops Cold War, sign me up. Express is a great search and destroy map. I think you guys are really going to enjoy the plays that are made on Express throughout the next stage. So first of all, you're going to be seeing some maps that are a little bit different. Next thing I wanted to talk about, if you did not see this episode of Inside the Comms, I would go watch it now. So it is a 9-minute episode here, and basically it just goes through, and it really does give you a look behind the scenes between this match between Optic and Atlanta. I think they did an unbelievable job producing this. I think just the graphics and the quotes and the way one team is lit up and the way one team's dark, I think they did an excellent job with this. I was really tuned in throughout the entirety of this video. But I'm not too sure that you'll see another video like this. In fact, I'm not sure how long this video will even stand out there, because this is really a in-depth. There are no blinders here. This is behind the scenes, and this is what they're talking about as they're in a match. And I think that a lot of the trash talk you wouldn't see made public on a regular basis, either before a map or during a map. So I don't know. This was interesting. I really liked the insight just from a fan. I'm not sure you're going to see it again because there is nothing held back here. So if you haven't seen it, you can find it either on the COD League Twitter or on their YouTube. It is there. It is live in color. It's 9 minutes. There's not a whole lot that's glossed over here. So definitely go check that out. Again, from a fan, from a content creator standpoint, I absolutely love this. I'm not quite sure you're going to see it again, though, because it is no holds bar. It is behind the scenes. It is up close and personal, and I'm not sure there were too many people that really enjoyed that this was put out there. So go check out this episode of Inside the Comms. Also, comments below, let me know what you think about this, because I was a little bit shocked that we got this much of a look into what happens behind the scenes. Next, you're going to see some new faces. So London Royal Ravens signed Paul X. Paul X obviously was the mainstay over on Wester. They actually tried to sign Paul X. There was rumor like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but at that time, Wester that he was on was playing so well that he didn't want to leave them for just like it was like a 10-day contract or a 14-day contract, just to go for a short period of time and break up what they had going on over in the Challengers. But if we look at the COD Wiki here, you'll see that during those first rumors, that was somewhere in this area right here. And throughout these stage 1 playoffs, they were placing first. They were winning $10,000. I mean, you could see these first place here, second place here. And after that, there started to be some trouble in paradise. A lot of people started to catch up to them. And once that happened and they didn't start placing quite as well, Paul X decided to make the change and head over to London Royal Ravens. So I am really intrigued by this. We'll look at the matches in a second, but I think I picked an upset in my pick'ems on the Minnesota Rocker podcast that we did last night. I think that this is potentially going to be an upset. I think that this is going to work out well for them. Paul X is just a fantastic player. Really good shot, really good just overall gun skill. So I think teaming him with Shawnee, I think that duo can be really dangerous. If they just get a little bit more production out of their SMGs, I think this will be a team to watch for. So this is a big storyline going into the matches this upcoming weekend. Of course, as we look at the schedule overall, there are some things that I want to point out here. So there are some great matches, sure. You have Atlanta versus New York to kick it off. You have New York versus LA Thieves. And then throughout, there's not too many other like headline matches throughout this, but this weekend is going to have a ton of importance when it comes to seeding overall. So as we go ahead and look at this, these are the two groups, right? I think over in Group A, you're probably going to end up having Atlanta with the #1 seed. And then I think any of these 4 teams could end up being second or third in the winner's bracket going into the second stage. Wouldn't surprise me if LA Thieves is there. Wouldn't surprise me if Toronto's there. I think London is probably the only squad that I wouldn't pick to end up being in the winner's bracket. So Group A, it's kind of, I mean, I guess a little bit up in the air, but Atlanta's going to be there. LA Thieves are probably going to be there. Subliners are probably going to be there. But as we look over to Group B, if you're any of the teams in the middle of the pack in Group B, so if you're Florida, Paris, or Minnesota, if you're one of these 3 teams, you have to beat the other teams towards the bottom, because most of the time, even though it didn't work out for Minnesota this way in stage 1, if you finish 3-2, that's more than likely going to place you in the winner's bracket. So if I'm any of these 3 teams in the middle of the pack, I don't see how you count either Dallas or Optic as a victory. So if you want to get to that 3-2 plateau, you have to beat the other teams. And we're going to get a lot of those matchups this weekend. So if you're Florida, you have to beat Paris, you have to beat Minnesota, you have to beat Seattle. And then if you're able to pull an upset, say over Dallas or Chicago, either one, now you're talking, right? Because now you're going to be 4-1. You are definitely in the winner's bracket. You might even be the #1 overall seed. So when I'm laying out this scenario here with those teams right in the middle, Florida, Paris, Minnesota, when it comes to this weekend, there are some really important matches. So first of all, on Thursday, Florida has to get this victory over Seattle, right? We're talking about teams you have to beat. That's a team that they have to beat. But here are the matches. The last match on Friday between Minnesota and Paris, if Minnesota ends up losing this, I think it's going to be tough for them to make their way into the winner's bracket. Same with Paris. If Paris ends up losing this, I think it's going to be tough for them to get a victory over either of those top 2 squads while beating the other 2 that are down towards the bottom. So this matchup is super important when it comes to seeding heading into the second major. I feel like Optic is probably going to win 3-0 with this one over Paris, but the other super important match, I think that 3rd seed over in Group B is going to go to one of these 2 teams. And I think it could very likely come down to who ends up winning this matchup. If Minnesota beats Florida and Minnesota gets a win over Paris, all they have to do then later throughout the next 2 weeks is get a win over Seattle, and now all of a sudden they've found their 3 wins. That's probably enough to get them into the winner's bracket. But On the flip side, if Florida wins this, they would already have a potential victory over Seattle. They would have a victory over Minnesota. All they would have to do then is get a victory over Paris. And if they can surprise Dallas or Chicago, great. But those two matches have unbelievable amount of importance. And then last but not least, as we go into the bottom here, this could very well determine for either of these teams, LA Thieves or New York, who ends up making it into the winner's bracket over towards Group A, because the only team that we have pretty much locked up immediately from Group A being in the winner's bracket is probably Atlanta FaZe. But the next teams, the second team put into Group A was LA Thieves. The third team was New York Subliners. So when it comes to this matchup, if New York ends up winning this matchup, then all of a sudden they can get a victory over a team like London, who's also in that group. Maybe they steal a victory over LAG or somebody like that. So if you're LA Thieves or if you're New York, this is also a big matchup. And I'll just say real quick, I think that this is the potential upset. I think if I'm watching this, I think London with their team of, or that duo that they just created of Shawnee and Paul X, I really do think that they can get a victory here. And if they do, watch out, because I think all that team needs is a little bit of confidence. They need much more firepower from the SMG position. But if they're able to get this one here, I think they can make some moves. So even though at first glance here, when we're looking at the schedule for week 1, there's no Optic versus Dallas or Atlanta versus Dallas or Atlanta versus Ott. There's nothing like that. There are, as I just marked out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really important matches, and that didn't even talk about, we have Atlanta versus Toronto here, with Toronto first weekend with Insight in the starting rotation. We have Optic. We're actually only going to see once this weekend, but they should come out and have a chip on their shoulder after how they got eliminated by New York in that first weekend. So there are a ton of great storylines heading into stage 2. I just wanted to make sure that I covered everything for you guys so that as you sit back and watch the matches Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you guys are tuned in, you know the importance of what out there, and you're ready to go. So if you're new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you don't mind, as it really helps out the channel. I hope you guys enjoy the second week here heading into the Call of Duty League. And most of these days, I'll be going live on my YouTube channel inside the film room, breaking down what happens on a lot of these important matches. So we've been getting thousands of viewers on those ones, so look for more of those moving forward. So with that, thank you guys so much. We will see you in the next upload.